I remember when I first started studying child development, I was struck by how much our early communication patterns affect our entire lives. In my work, I've observed how children who can express their feelings appropriately tend to have fewer conflicts. They build stronger friendships. And as parents, isn't that what we want? Our job isn't to eliminate these traits, but to channel them constructively. Follow your child, trust their mind. Hi, I'm Ankita, blending Montessori, music, neuroscience, and positive parenting to help you follow your amazing child from day one to forever. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're diving into a topic every parent faces at some point. Teaching respectful communication. If you've ever wondered, how can I teach my child to speak up without making them feel like they can't say what they really feel, you're in the right place. Before we dive in, let me quickly share a story from my own experience. Last week, my daughter was frustrated about a play date that didn't go as planned. Instead of expressing herself clearly, she slammed the door and refused to talk. As an educator, I know the developmental reasons behind this behavior, but as a parent, it was still challenging. I'm guessing many of you can relate to these moments where theory meets real life. This video will cover why respectful communication is essential, 5 research-backed strategies and practical examples that you can try at home. I'll also address common challenges and I'll share some personal experiences of both my successes and my failures too, because we are all learning together. So go grab a cup of tea, maybe a notebook, and let's explore how we can help our children express themselves with both confidence and kindness. If you find this helpful, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content that blends education with real parenting moments. Respectful communication goes beyond just saying please and thank you. It's about teaching children empathy, problem solving, and emotional regulation. Research suggests that children who learn to express themselves respectfully are more likely to develop positive social relationships. They perform better academically and they handle stress more effectively. When we focus on respectful communication, we are actually helping our children build a foundation for emotional intelligence, which is a very important key predictor of lifelong success. I remember when I first started studying child development, I was struck by how much our early communication patterns affect our entire lives. In my work, I've observed how children who can express their feelings appropriately tend to have fewer conflicts. They build stronger friendships. And as parents, isn't that what we want? Children who can navigate the world with both confidence in their voice and consideration for others. Brain research shows us that children's communication skills are very flexible during early development. When children practice positive communication, they are actually strengthening the parts of their brain which are responsible for managing emotional and social skills. Now I know what some of you might be thinking, okay? My child is already so strong-willed. Tantrums are our current language. Don't worry, strong-willed children often become confident leaders, and tantrums are actually developmental milestones. Our job isn't to eliminate these traits, but to channel them constructively. So let's talk about how we can do this. Let's dive into the first strategy, modeling. This might seem obvious, but it's powerful. Research in developmental psychology shows that children learn more through observation than instruction. When we speak calmly, respectfully, even in challenging situations, they're more likely to follow our lead. Imagine your child spills something accidentally. Instead of snapping, you take a deep breath. You tell your child, accidents happen, let's clean it up together. When you model respect, your child learns that mistakes don't need to be met with harsh reactions, and they're more likely to adopt this calm approach. I'll be honest, this is something I struggle with sometimes too. Last month, after a particularly long day, my daughter knocked over my laptop while I was working on a very important document. And my first reaction, instinctive, and it's not my proudest moment, but it wasn't kind. And I caught myself, I took a deep breath and I shifted to, I see that was an accident. I'm feeling frustrated because I was working on an important document, but I know you didn't mean to knock it over. Let's check if everything is okay. The transformation in her face from fear to relief and then responsibility was remarkable. And later that week, when I broke a glass accidentally, she echoed my words back to me saying, Mama, accidents happen. Let's clean it up together. Don't worry about it. Remember, it's okay to slip up. If you respond sharply, that's an opportunity to model accountability. A simple, I'm sorry for raising my voice. I was frustrated, but I could have handled it better, shows your child that respectful communication includes owning our own mistakes that we make as parents. This modeling extends to how we talk to others. Children are constantly watching how we speak to others, to service workers, to other people who are just roaming around the road or doing their work. They are absorbing our tone, our words, our facial expressions, everything. So respectful communication isn't just about the tone, it's about understanding how our words impact others. When we encourage our children to rephrase, we help them see things from another person's perspective. Let's say your child says, you never listen to me. Instead of correcting them right away, you could always try to tell your child, I see that you feel unheard. How can we say this in a different way? This acknowledges their feeling while guiding them to a better expression. In my work with children, we practice this technique I call feeling and needing statements. It sounds like, I feel dash when dash happens and I need dash. Now, for example, I feel sad when you take my toy without asking and I need you to ask the first time. This structure helps children communicate their emotions without blame while clearly stating their needs. I remember working with a 4-year-old who would constantly say, I hate you when he was frustrated. Instead of punishing this expression, we worked on rephrasing. After a few weeks of gentle guidance, he began saying, I'm really mad right now. That shift from attacking, disrespectful language to now owning his own feelings was the journey this child had. Role playing works wonders here. You could even say, imagine you're talking to a friend. How might you say it? This gives them a practical tool for rephrasing in different situations. Parents, another thing I would like to say is most of us do not talk to our children with the kind of respect and kindness that we offer to other adults or friends in our lives. So what I'm going to tell you is, if we talk to the adults sometimes in the way we talk to our children, they're probably going to work out on us. So it's also a reminder for ourselves to be kinder to our children. Another approach is to use picture books that demonstrate different communication styles. After reading, you could always ask your child, how do you think this character felt when their friend spoke to them that way? And you could also tell them, what could they have said instead to feel this person feel better? This is an external example, so the child feels safer to answer them and then they can analyze what's really going on. When children practice seeing things from other people's perspective through rephrasing exercises, they're actually layering on to their own empathy skills. Now let's talk about reinforcing positive communication. Research shows that reinforcement is one of the strongest ways to establish lasting behavior. When we notice and affirm respectful language, we encourage children to use it more. For example, if your child politely asks you for help, take a moment. Tell them, how nicely you asked me, Baba. This doesn't just recognize their efforts. It reinforces that respectful communication is noticed and valued. So make this specific, make this intentional. Instead of a generic good job, tell them, I liked how you explained your feelings to me so calmly just now. This specific feedback makes the lesson stick. In my home, we implement what we call communication celebrations. We have a special jar, and whenever someone in the family uses particularly kind or effective communication, we add one small stone to the jar. And when it's completely full, we have a nice, lovely celebration. What's fascinating is how quickly the visual reminder increased our awareness of how we were speaking to each other. I've seen this work especially well with children who struggle with emotional regulation. One parent I worked with had a child with significant anxiety who would often communicate through outbursts. By intentionally noticing and celebrating each instance of calm communication, even if it was just one sentence, the child gradually shifted the pattern. The child began to associate positive attention with controlled expression rather than emotional explosions. Remember that reinforcement doesn't have to always be verbal. A smile, a thumbs up, a hug, a gentle touch, it can also signal your approval of respectful communication. Those non-verbal cues can be especially effective during moments when stopping to comment might interrupt a positive social interaction that your child is having. Even with the best strategies, there will be moments where respectful communication doesn't come easily for your child, or even for us as parents, and that's okay. Addressing these moments can actually deepen the lesson. If your child has spoken disrespectfully, approach them calmly later on and tell them, I noticed you were really frustrated when you said so and so. Can we talk about it? Can we talk about other ways to handle this kind of feelings the next time? I want to emphasize the importance of timing here. In the heat of the moment when the emotions are high, we're not going to be talking to the child. Learning is low at that point. When we are upset, the thinking part of our brain doesn't work well, which is why waiting until everyone is calm before discussing communication improvements is very important. Encourage your child to brainstorm alternatives with you. Ask them, what are some ways we can say how we feel without hurting others? Giving them a say in the solution always increases the buy-in and self-awareness. I learned the power of this approach through a humbling personal experience. After a particularly exhausting day, I responded very sharply to my daughter's repeated questions. And later, when I was really calm, I apologized to her. I told her how my tone made her feel and all of that. Her honest answer was, it made me feel, Mama, like my questions aren't important to you. And it really broke my heart, but it created an important learning moment for me and together for both of us. So we came up with a signal that I could use when I'm feeling overwhelmed, but I still value her questions. So now when I need a moment, I just make a peace out sign with my hands. That basically means my patience tank is low. I want to hear you. Can you give me 5 minutes and then we can talk? This collaborative solution has been transformative for our communication. Research emphasizes that repairing ruptures in communication actually builds stronger relationships than never having ruptures at all. It's not about perfection here, it's about how we recover when communication system breaks down. So to really make these strategies stick, let's add in some practice exercises that you may want to try at home. Start a daily check-in. Everyone can share how they are feeling in a respectful way. Phrases like, today I feel dash. This normalizes talking about emotions in your house, right? In my family, we do this at dinner time or just after breakfast. We also talk about what filled your bucket today, what emptied your bucket today. Trust me, even your 4-year-old can participate over time, and their emotional vocabulary becomes quite enhanced instead of saying just good or bad. Like, I clearly remember my daughter telling me, Mama, I'm having such a bad day today. Instead of just saying, I feel bad, I feel bad. Like, she could tell me I'm having a hard day. I haven't slept well last night. I need help. So over time, instead of just saying good or bad, they can use words like frustrated, disappointed, overwhelmed, You can create role play scenarios with your children. For example, pretend that they are frustrated with a friend and now practice rephrasing by saying, how could we ask our friend for what we need without being mean? So it's a fun way to build respectful habits. And you can always add the family affirmation jar whenever someone's speaking kindly or resolves a conflict with peace. You can add something in the jar, and at the end of the week, you can read it together, the post-it or whatever you added in your jar. And remember, be consistent. Habit formation is important in these contexts, and this will help your child build all these skills. And incorporating respectful communication into daily rituals like bedtime conversations, car rides, meal times can really help children internalize these patterns over time. Remember, these practices don't need to be elaborate or time consuming. Even just 5 minutes of intentional communication practice daily can make a profound difference over time. It's the consistency, not the duration, that matters the most. Now let's talk about common challenges and solutions that parents face when they are teaching respectful communication to their children. So what do we do when our child is communicating disrespectfully with their siblings or peers? So look at this as an opportunity for growth. Instead of simply saying be nice, which really does not teach children much, you can try coaching them in the moment. You can always tell them, it looks like you're frustrated with your brother or friend. Let's pause. Let's use kind words so we don't hurt his or her feelings. In my work with families with multiple children, I found that creating a peace corner with visual prompts for communication is also very helpful. This designated space includes feelings charts, solution cards, sentence starters, I feel cards, and I need cards, and children can go there to work through conflicts with these tools. Another common challenge is the child who simply refuses to speak when they're upset. This can be just as challenging as disrespectful speech. They go into their blue zone. For these children, you can offer alternative methods, like you can build a bridge to maintain some sort of communication. Drawing feelings can really work. You can use puppets. You can also use writing small notes as a stepping stone. And let me tell you about when I worked with a family whose 6-year-old would completely shut down during conflicts. We created a feelings journal. So she could draw or write when she couldn't speak her feelings. And gradually she began to verbalize what she had expressed in her journal eventually, developing the confidence for direct communication. What about developmental consideration? Young children obviously have limited emotional vocabulary. They have limited impulse control. For toddlers and preschoolers, just naming their feelings is a huge first step. You seem angry that your block tower fell. It acknowledges their emotion while modeling emotional language that they can eventually adopt. Remember that cultural context also influence communication styles. Some cultures value direct communication, while others prioritize harmony and indirect expression. There is no single right or wrong way to communicate respectfully. The ultimate goal is to help children express themselves authentically while being mindful of each other's feelings. Before we wrap up, I want to share some personal reflections of my own journey with teaching respectful communication as an educator and parent. So when I first started working with children, I had these idealistic versions of calm, perfectly phrased interactions, and reality quickly humbled me. I remember one particularly challenging day when a 4-year-old was having difficulty sharing. Despite all my expert knowledge, nothing was working and I felt completely ineffective. This was back in school. That evening, I reflected on what had happened. I realized that I had been so focused on getting him to use the right words, I had not even acknowledged the very feelings that were driving his behavior. So the next day, I approached him differently. I first connected with him, with his feelings, before working on his expression, and the difference was truly remarkable. This lesson has followed me into my parenting. Our children's challenging communication moments aren't just problems to solve. They are opportunities to connect more deeply. So when my child is disrespectful, I try to look beyond the words to the needs and feelings behind them. Is he tired, feeling powerless, seeking connection? I've also learned to be a little gentler with myself. So on days when I don't model perfect communication, I remind myself that my children benefit more from seeing how I recover and repair than they would from never see me struggle at all. Research shows it's not perfect attunement that builds secure attachment, but rather the pattern of repair and rupture. Our communication mistakes, when followed by reconnection, actually help our children develop resilience. So if you're having a day or week where respectful communication feels like an uphill battle, take heart. The fact that you're watching this video shows your commitment to growth. Every effort you make, even those imperfect ones, are shaping your child's understanding of how humans can relate to each other with dignity and care. Remember, this is a journey, not a destination. There will be beautiful moments of connection. There will be challenging moments of frustration, and both are part of the process. The goal isn't perfection, like I said, but progress. It's helping our children gradually develop the skills they need to be really able to express themselves authentically while also respecting others. If this video gave you helpful insights, please give it a thumbs up, share it with other parents who might find it useful. Don't forget to subscribe for more parenting tips that blend research with real life experiences. I'd love to hear from you in comments. What strategies do you use to teach respectful communication? What challenges have you faced? Let's learn from each other as we support our amazing children in finding their voice. I will see you in the next video.